and welcome to this Impact Video User Guide. In this video we'll be going through part 3 of our initial training and our last part of this series. We'll be going through various work order management programs showing you how to create, update, and close work orders in Impact. When you initially log into Impact, you're taken to the work order management screen, which is perfect because it's right where we need to be. So first we're going to go to our open work orders. And open work orders are where all of your work orders are going to be held. So we'll go through creating a work order, getting it updated, getting it closed, and just go through the whole work order process here. So up at the top left, you have two options when you want to create a work order. You have add new tenant service request and add new inspection work order. So your tenant service request, this is going to be a reactive request. This is the tenant is contacting you, they have a light bulb out, can you come fix it? So you're able to create a tenant service request to get that done. You're reacting to that. The inspection work order, however, is more of a proactive work order. So you or your technicians, you're walking through the lobby, you see a light bulb out, you can get that fixed. So you just create an inspection work order to get that fixed. The last type of work order in Impact is preventive maintenance, and those are automatically generated. So what we'll go through is we're going to create a test tenant service request, and we'll go through those steps of updating it and closing it. I do want to mention that when it comes to updating and closing the work orders, it's going to be the same across the board, whether it's a tenant service request, inspection work order, or preventive maintenance. So we go through closing one, we're actually going through all three, so that's really nice. So we'll go and we'll select add new tenant service request, and your first option is to select the company. So we'll just say it's Edward Financial Group, they have a light bulb out in their break room, they want us to get it fixed. So we'll select Edward Financial Group. Anything with a red star is a required field, so you want to make sure that those are filled in. So our date and time are going to autofill based on the date and time of my device. The requester name and phone, this is going to be the name of the tenant requester who contacted you. You do have this little option here that it's going to pull the contacts and the users for this tenant. So if Brendan, he emailed you, you can just select him. It's going to autofill his info in there. And our service location, this is going to be where the problem is, whatever best fits the situation. So we'll say it's inside their suite. The job type, this is going to be what the problem is. We'll say light bulb change. And request received by, you can just select how they contacted you. We'll just say email. This is really good for like reporting purposes. It also goes over to the property dashboard so that you can collect all the info of how are people submitting work orders. Are they the tenants logging in themselves? Are they contacting y'all? How are they contacting y'all? It's good information gathering there. And lastly, service description. This is just what the problem is. So we'll just say light bulb out in break room. And that's the last of our required info. So when you're ready to get the work order dispatched, you can scroll down and click assign/send. And this gives you the option of who you want to send this work order to. So Ray, he's on our auto dispatch that we set up in part 1 of this training series. And so by default, he's going to be checked there. You can't uncheck him if, well, Ray, he's out today. I just want to send it to Tom. Maybe Ray's really busy, so you just want to send it to Tom. So you can choose Tom. You can also choose both if it's a two-man job. So once you select the technician, you have the option of confirm send and assign don't send. So these options, confirm send allows you to dispatch the work order and also send a notification to Ray and Tom. The assign don't send is going to dispatch it, but it's not going to send any sort of notification. So if you want to make sure Ray and Tom get notified, make sure to hit confirm send. If they're in the room there with you, you say, hey Ray, I'm giving you this work order. He knows it's coming. You don't have to send him a notification. You can just hit assign don't send. And that takes you to the work order options page. You have some additional options here, going back to the open work orders, updating the current work order, creating a new request for the tenant, or creating a new inspection work order. We'll just click the green button to go back to open work orders. And before we went and updated and closed out this work order, I just want to briefly explain the different colors and options that you see in the due column and the service description column. So the due column, you'll notice this one's yellow and these are red. So there are three colors that can appear in the due column, and that is green, yellow, and red. Green means you have more than 3 days to get the work order done. Yellow means you have less than 3 days. And red means that work order is past due. So just by looking at the due column and the color that's there, you can tell, is this a work order we need to do right now, or is this something that maybe we can put on the back burner if we have something more urgent. The service description, you'll notice these are in red text, and the text color signifies what type of work order it is. So red is going to be a tenant service request, black is going to be an inspection work order, and green is going to be a preventive maintenance work order. And if you ever need just a quick guide, a quick reference on what the colors mean, we do have a color code right here so that you're always able to see what the colors mean. Lastly, I just wanted to go through the work order options that you have right here. So print, naturally, that just allows you to print out this work order. Recent is going to let you see the recent requests from this tenant. New TSR allows you to create a new work order for the tenant. Send allows you to email this work order to someone, and you can also view the email history of the work order. Private notes are going to mean notes the tenant will not be able to see. So it's good for confidential notes. Only you and the technicians are going to be able to see the private note. Attachments, you can just upload an attachment to the work order. Reminder is a email reminder for the work order. So if you wanted to be reminded of this work order next week Monday, maybe you wanted to double check on something, you can create a reminder, and when Monday rolls around, Impact will automatically send you an email in the morning reminding you of this work order. Job quote allows you to create a job quote for the work order that you can present to the tenant so they can sign off on it. And lastly, you have tenant notes, and this is good for communication with the tenant. So let's just say, I want to tell Brendan that our techs, they'll be there tomorrow, 9 in the morning. You can select tenant note, and you can enter your note right here, and it's going to be emailed directly to Brendan. And when you add a tenant note, it's going to keep a copy of the tenant note on the work order itself, so that if anyone else comes and looks at this work order, they can see, oh, you contacted Brendan today, so he knows we're coming tomorrow. So it's really good that you can just email the tenant directly, and it'll keep a copy of that on the work order itself. The additional benefit of doing it that way is that the tenant has the option of responding. So they can log into the system, they can come to this work order, they can add a note themselves, and that's going to email you, the technicians, and so you have this back and forth communication that is saved on the work order itself. Really good for accountability, really good for historic purposes. If that work order, if down the road, if there's ever a problem, you can have that work order to look at that communication and things like that. So typically when you dispatch the work order to the technician kind of takes it from there. The technician, they do the work, they go in, they update the work order, they complete the work order, they add all that info, but we're going to do that for them. So we're just going to go in to our work order, and just a few things we actually need to get entered in order to close this work order. And so that's going to be our work hours, our date started, date completed, and work notes. So we want to get those 4 fields filled out in order to get this work order closed. So I'll enter my work hours, and this is in hours minutes formats. So half an hour would be 00:30. You don't have to have work hours for both technicians. You can just have it for one. So if Ray did this one instead of Tom, all you have to do is enter some work time for Ray. Your date started, date completed, we can hit the today button. That's going to autofill. And work notes are the completion notes. What was done to fix the problem? So I do want to mention that the work notes will be visible by the tenant. They'll get a confirmation email when the work order is done. It'll have the work notes on it. They'll also be able to log into the system and view work order history, and they can see the work notes there as well. So just be cautious of what gets put in there. Don't want anything confidential. So we'll just put light bulb changed, and now we're ready to get this work order closed. And to do that, all you have to do is change the status to closed, save it, and that's it. You'll notice that work order is no longer in our open work orders. So once we close a work order, it gets moved from open work orders to closed work orders. And here we'll select our property here, and there is our test work order. So you'll notice that even after you close a work order, it's not locked and sealed away forever. You can still come in and you can update it if needed. If Ray said, oh, it actually wasn't 30 minutes, it was actually 45 minutes, you can change that. You can reopen it if needed. You can set it back to in progress and save it. That's going to reopen it. So even after you close the work order, it's not archived or anything. You can still access it. But that's typically the work order process. The work order gets created, it gets dispatched, the work gets done, and the work order gets closed. And once you close the work order, you're all done with that. Put the done stamp on it and move on to the next one. So continuing on in some work order management programs, I just wanted to highlight some of our programs that we think are really handy when it comes to managing your work orders. First is going to be the Advanced Work Order Search. This is just a really good search program. If you're trying to rack your brain trying to find a work order from last year, you remember it was with a certain tenant, maybe it had something to do with their carpet, you can look for a specific tenant company and you can search by keyword even. So you can search by a lot of things, really fine tune it down to a specific work order that you're looking for, and you just hit search, and that's going to search through all your work orders trying to find one that fits that criteria. Also, you have future work orders. So if you remember when we were creating our work order, it had an origin date. You can set the origin date to a future date, and the benefit of that is maybe you want to get a work order created, but you don't want it to show up in the open work orders just yet. You want to wait 2 weeks before you do the work. So you can create a work order, set the origin date to 2 weeks from now, and any future work order is going to appear in the future work order program. And so that way you can come here, you can review them, you can update them if needed. When 2 weeks roll by and the origin date hits today, the work order will automatically move from the future work order program to the open work order program for you. So everyone will then be able to see it, your technicians can see it, and you'll be able to start on that work. The batch work order close is a really good program as well. The technicians, the most they'll be able to do to a work order is complete it. And there is a difference between completing and closed. Completing is the work has been done and it's ready for review by management. Closing is the work order has been reviewed and management is closing on it. So the technicians, they can complete it, the management can close it. And batch work order closed, what this program allows you to do is it automatically compiles all of the completed work orders for you, so you can close them all at once. So instead of going through, maybe you were out for a couple of days, you come back and you see there's 10 or 15 completed work orders. Instead of going through each one and closing it out, you can come to batch work order close, where all of those 10 to 15 work orders are going to be, and you can close them out all at once. Really good time saver. Moving on down, you have the recurring work order setup program. And this is really good for recurring work orders that aren't equipment related. The equipment related recurring work orders, you're going to want to set those up in preventive maintenance. But the recurring work orders, this is really good if you have non-equipment recurring work orders. So say you want your technicians to once a week walk the parking lot and just pick up any trash they see. Or maybe you have plants and you want to make sure that each week or each month those plants, they're watered, trimmed, anything that needs to get done. You can set up recurring work orders to get that done, and it's really easy. You select new recurring work order, and it's really similar to creating a work order itself. You just select the property, select the frequency, we'll say weekly. We want it to start next week Monday. We'll say building exterior for the parking lot. Let's see, we'll just call it trash removal, and we'll say 3 days. And this is where we can say walk parking lot, pick up trash. And you also have the ability to assign it to a specific person. So if I want Ray to do this and take care of this, I can select him, and when I save it, my recurring work order is created. So starting next week, once a week, work order is going to be automatically created, and it's going to go to Ray, asking him to walk the parking lot and pick up the trash. And you can set up as many of these as you'd like. The system will just keep generating them based on the frequency. And the last work order management program I wanted to go through is the Technician Backup Program. And this is really good if you utilize auto dispatch, because people have vacation, people get sick, and so sometimes your technicians need a cover for each other. And instead of going to auto dispatch and messing with all those settings, who goes to what goes where, we have the Technician Backup Program, which allows you to substitute a technician to cover specific days for another technician. So let's just say Ray, he's going to be on vacation for a few days. We want Tom to cover his work orders. So you select Technician Backup, add new Technician Backup, and we'll select Ray. He's the one who's going to be on vacation. You can choose whether or not Ray gets notifications while he's away. Since he's going to be on vacation, we want to leave him alone. Primary technician away, he's going to be on vacation from the 28th to the 30th. And we can leave our work order types. I want everything going to Tom, but you can choose, based on priority, based on the type, what kind of work orders are going. So I'll just select Tom, and I want all the properties backed up here. So when I save it, that creates our backup. So when Ray, he's going to be out 10:28 to 10:30, work orders are going to be going to Tom. And the system automatically turns this on and automatically turns it off. So once the 28th hits, the technician backup will be turned on automatically. Once 10:30 is over, the system's going to turn this off. So you can really set it and forget it. The system will turn it on, turn it off, all on its own. And I do want to mention the way that technician backup works is that when this is on, if a work order comes automatically to Ray, Tom is going to get an email about it. And Tom can review that work order, and if it's something that he thinks, oh, I need to get this done, it can't wait for Ray to get back, Tom can log into Impact, and he'll have a technician backup program right next to his My Work Order program. And there he can go in and see the work orders that are assigned to Ray. And Tom can then assign those work orders to himself. So it won't be automatically assigned to Tom, but he will automatically get an email to which he can go in and assign that work order to himself if he feels that it needs to get done quickly. And that concludes this Impact Video User Guide as well as the initial training series. Just a reminder that Impact is customized for each client, and therefore your Impact system may differ from the information provided in this user guide. For further questions, you're always welcome to contact us at support@impactsolutions.com or submit a support request in the Impact system. We're always happy to help in any way we can.